time for another round of Flex or Forget About It, a brand new segment we have here on the show. I'm with my man Mikey Fantasy, and he's going to take us through this whole thing. Michael Frank, what you got?
As the Italian guy from New York, whose neighborhood The Sopranos often filmed in, I'm basically a made man, which means the boss assigned me this year setting his fantasy football lineup. I got to tell him who to flex or who to forget about.
All right, so let's go. Let's get started with Dalvin Cook. I mean, he hadn't been great for the Jets. You're going to flex or forget about it?
Last week, I told you to flex his kid brother, James. This week, forget about it with Dalvin Cook. Look, he was one of my top earners for years, but lately, these envelopes have been getting thinner and thinner. And it's not all his fault. The Jets like to use 3 running backs. Their O-line is flat out, it stinks. So Dalvin Cook last week gave you 0.2 fantasy points. That is not going to cut it. The boss was very upset. He said, get him out of my lineup. Forget about it.
All right, so Dalvin Cook is on the outs. What about Jalen Warren here? Look, the Steelers' offense hadn't looked so great. He's been the better of the 2 backs. Flex or forget about it.
It's been rough for Pittsburgh, but this week, we're flexing Jalen Warren. Look, Jalen Warren plays about 40% of the snaps. He has the second most targets on Pittsburgh all year, and he is more explosive, and I might know a thing or two about that. And you have seen Casino. Those guys in Vegas, they don't know what they're doing, especially when it comes to stopping running backs. So go ahead and get Jalen Warren in your lineup this week.
Don't want your head in the vice. Moving on, Cortland Sutton. I keep thinking big things are coming for Cortland Sutton. They never seem to show up. Do we flex or forget about it?
What do you hear? What do you say? I say, forget about it with Cortland Sutton this week. Less than 100 yards through 2 games. He has not topped 75 yards since week 12 of last season. That kid Marv Mims is vying for more playing time, and I don't know if you know me or not, but I try to avoid anything that comes to court.
Moving on. Everybody's been excited about Puka Nacua, but what about his partner in crime, Tutu Atwell? You gonna flex or forget about it?
We are flexing Tutu Atwell this week. Look, I normally like to keep my mouth shut, but all summer long I was telling the boss to draft Puka, and he ignored me. Now I've been telling him, hey, you might want to flex this guy Tutu, but he's all Puka this and Puka that. Atwell right now is a top 20 wide receiver, and he has the 8th most yards in the NFL. Marom, flex him this week.
Last one. Normally, you might hang out with some sinners, but we got a saint. Tony Jones Jr. Is he going to be the boss of that New Orleans backfield?
One of the saints of Newark. Nah. This week, when it comes to Tony Jones, forget about it. Go ahead and get him out of your lineup. Look, some of my friends like to refer to this guy as T, but the word on the street is Kendre Miller is going to play this week, and you know that Taysom Hill fella is going to steal plenty of work, especially near the goal line. If you were thin at running back, look, sometimes I get it. You got to do what you got to do. But if you got another option, get this guy out of your lineup and forget about it.
And we're going to forget about